Hey folks, how are y'all doing today? Welcome back to the channel. But if this is your first time here, I'm Chris, your host, and I'm glad you're here with us. I hope that today's video will be a little bit shorter than the last one. It was kind of long. So this one is, the intent is to be a little bit shorter, okay? And if you haven't seen that last video, please by all means, go back and watch that. I hope you'll find some information in there that's useful to you. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you don't mind. It certainly helps out the channel and helps me to bring additional information to you guys. Do you want to rent or own in retirement? And by rent or own, of course, I mean your house, okay? Or the place where you dwell, shall we say. There are some pros and cons that you need to consider, and as you get older, you may find that you really want to do more traveling than just staying in one spot. Likewise, you might find that due to health concerns or health issues that you may have or a family member, your spouse may have, you may decide that it's better to stay where you're located, closer to hospitals, doctors, healthcare, things of that nature. You also may find that your family lives close by and it's preferential in your personal circumstances to stay in that location and be closer to family members. So today we're going to talk a little bit about renting versus owning. Now, as a real estate agent, I have people talk to me all the time about buying and selling homes, renting homes, staying where they're at, moving to other places, even to other countries that they may be interested in. I help people move overseas as well as across the United States. So, I feel like I'm pretty well versed in being able to speak to this. Pros and cons of owning a home. Obviously, you probably know most of those pros and cons as well if you're currently a homeowner or have ever been a homeowner. Owning a home can be absolutely fantastic. If you find the right home and you're in the best location for you, it can certainly pay big benefits from a personal standpoint, a mental standpoint even. It provides you a sense of purpose in some respects. It also provides you some stability, both mentally, physically, as well as financially. But at what point do you not want to maybe consider continuing to own a home? Well, as we get older, our health tends to decline, for some people more so than others. It's at those points in times where it's important to consider your options. If you have a very large house and it's only you or maybe you and your spouse, you can consider to continue to own that home. Maybe buy another home, a smaller home, to live in and rent out your current larger home for personal income. A lot of people do that. As opposed to just selling a house and moving somewhere else, they'll keep that house if they're able to, rent it out, and then buy something to live in full-time themselves. Another possibility might be to again, just out and out sell the house and buy a smaller house. Certainly, that's an option. Are there pros to that? Well, of course. Just like there are pros to keeping a current home and renting it out, as long as, of course, you can continue to cover the mortgage and make a little money at the end of each month. That's perfectly fine, and I would never tell anybody not to do that. If you're not renting it for the mortgage, if you have a mortgage, that's never a good situation to put yourself in. If you want to just out and out sell, excuse me, sell it take the proceeds from that and buy a smaller home, and then take whatever is remaining and you can invest it. Some people will consider that an opportunity cost that you don't want to have to pay if you have the money available and you want to increase your net wealth. What are some cons of keeping your current home? Well, you're going to continue to have maintenance and repairs that need to be made. You're still going to have tax liabilities. You're going to continue to need to pay your taxes to the local government for property taxes and things of that nature. That can be a con. One pro about owning a home anytime is the possible tax breaks that you get. But you have to weigh those against what you're paying for those taxes, as well as an owner, what you're paying out in the form of maintenance and repairs. A lot of people will look at that and say, do I really want to own a home in retirement? I'm not sure I even want to own a home when I'm not retired. And a lot of people don't. They rent homes, the townhouses, apartments, whatever the case may be. Even people are living out of RVs because it's just so much cheaper in doing that than it is to own a home where you're liable to at any point need to replace a roof or an HVAC system, things of that nature. So, there are definitely some pros and cons to owning a home. But in retirement, do you want to face that? Now, owning a home in retirement, other than what we've already covered, has some other measures that you need to consider. Number one, if you're wanting to pass it on to your kids or your heirs, whomever they may be, then perhaps owning a home is something that you want to consider continuing to do if you already own a home. Your heirs can assume the property that you leave them once you pass, and they get a stepped-up basis on the valuation of the home, so they don't necessarily have to pay any inheritance taxes on what the original cost of the home was. They only have to pay it at the stepped-up valuation if they decide that they want to not live in it, not keep it, but they just want to sell it and take the proceeds and invest those or do whatever the case may be. So let's talk a little bit about renting in retirement. And just like renting any other time, renting in retirement can have its benefits. The pros of renting in retirement include your ability to stay mobile. In other words, if you decide you don't want to live in Mesa, Arizona because of the heat any longer and you want to move to a cooler climate, you can turn in your 2-week or 30-day notice to your landlord and you can pack up your stuff and you can take off. That's definitely a con when it comes to owning a home, because the liquidity factor or the lack of liquidity when you own a home, it can be astronomical. Not only does it take time to sell that house, there's the issue of how long is it going to sit on the market based on the price that you put it at. And even then, you're going to face the costs associated with selling that home. You're going to have potentially closing costs, title fees. You're going to have to potentially pay the commission for not just your listing agent, but also the buyer's agent of the people that want to purchase your home. Those can run into some pretty substantial fees. Not necessarily in every case, but in the majority of cases, you're going to pay some money out of pocket, or at least out of the proceeds from the sale of that property. Now, some other pros of renting in retirement, you don't have to worry about the repairs nor the maintenance costs that would be associated with that property. If you're talking about a single-family home, much like perhaps you had owned at an earlier period in your life, you probably recall how much it costs to have maintenance done at your house, how much it costs to have someone mow the yard for you because you were just lazy and you didn't want to do it. Likewise, some of the factors to be considered when renting in retirement are the possible, and I won't say always, but the possible increase in rental fees that you're paying to the landlord or whomever is the owner of that property. Over a period of time, if you stay in one place for long enough, you're going to see price increases in your rental fees. Could they be substantial? Maybe. Over a period of time, they're likely. Over a shorter period of time, maybe $50, $100 a month or something like that, maybe. It will vary depending on where you live, obviously. And you could see substantial increases over a shorter period of time versus a longer period of time. So definitely something to consider. Is it for you, renting in retirement? Only you can answer that. Just like you're the only one that can answer whether you want to continue to own a property in retirement. Obviously, as we get older, our beliefs change, our druthers change, as they used to say when I was a child. In other words, your opinions today as a younger person may vary vastly and differently from what they are when you're older. And maybe your body just doesn't want to put up with the things that it used to when you were 20 or 25 or 30 years old. So is renting in retirement or owning in retirement better for you? Well, only you can answer that, but don't wait until you get old to figure it out. There are a lot of things that need to be considered. Certainly your personal money situation is a big one. Maybe you don't have the assets available to continue to own. Maybe you prefer to rent and take the excess money each month and invest it for your long-term health care, perhaps for a education fund for a child or a grandchild, or for yourself, for that matter. You also may prefer to take that money and splurge a little bit. Take that European vacation that you never got to take, or go to the South Pacific and sit on a beach and soak up the sun for a few days or a few months, as you prefer. Anyway, I hope this has been a little bit insightful to you. Certainly, we don't necessarily want to think about being old or getting old, but I can tell you every day is a blessing. But every day also is ticked off in our brains as we get older. So don't wait until you're old, quote unquote, before you start thinking about, do you want to rent or retire in your, or rent or own in your retirement days. So anyway, hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on whenever you're watching this video. And I hope you'll come back and join us again for the next one. So we'll say goodbye for now and have a good one. Bye.